So Lauren and I were at this bakery and we got these incredible snickerdoodle cookies that were so soft and fluffy, yet chewy and rich and substantial and kind of crispy on the outside. They almost tasted like macarons, which made me want to try making snickerdoodles kind of in the style of macarons, and the result is fantastic. This might be what they do at that very bakery. You'd normally use an egg in sugar cookie dough like this, but what I'm doing differently, of course, is separating the egg. White goes into the mixing bowl, yolk just hangs out for a sec. Cream of tartar, the potassium salt of tartaric acid. It crystallizes out of grape juice and onto the sides of wine barrels. A tiny shake of it makes egg foams bigger and more stable. I'd never make any meringue-based dish without electric beaters. It's just not worth it. In 90 seconds, I've got soft peaks like that, which is perfect. A large egg white can typically incorporate about a quarter cup of granulated sugar, 50 grams, so that's what I'll give it. Beat that in, and don't worry if it immediately collapses the foam. Just keep beating and the foam will come back. For these purposes, you don't have to have the stiffest peaks in the world. That meringue is just fine. Other than that, I'm staying pretty close to the classic snickerdoodle recipe from The Joy of Cooking. That calls for half butter, half shortening. I'm using 100% butter-flavored shortening today, which makes cookies really soft and fluffy. Half a cup, about 100 grams. If you use butter, just make sure that it's at room temperature. This step is, of course, totally standard for snickerdoodles and other sugar cookies. In goes my remaining half cup, 100 grams of granulated sugar. No need to wash those beaters if you've already done the egg white. We will whip these two ingredients together. Cream the butter and the sugar. Let the granules help cut little holes into the fat to create a fluffy foam. Again, to lighten the texture. Give it a few minutes, wait until it gets really fluffy, like cake frosting. That's literally how you make buttercream frosting. Whip sugar and butter. It's frosting. And just looking at that makes me crave some vegetables, which luckily I got from HelloFresh, sponsor of this video. 'Tis the season for summer produce, and HelloFresh ingredients travel from the farm to your door in less than 7 days. They'll send you meat dishes if you want, but I like the vegetarian boxes from HelloFresh, even though I'm not a vegetarian. I just like the dishes. And I like having someone else go to the store for me and find me a good recipe a few times a week. Why do I have to do everything around here? Oh yeah, Lauren's cooking this time. We both spend as much time outside in the summer as possible. HelloFresh helps us do that. When we need dinner fast, the HelloFresh ingredients come in the mail, pre-portioned, so there's no waste and no leftovers to deal with. You follow easy step-by-step instructions and trust the process. Yes, it says to heat the oiled baking sheet in the oven before you assemble and bake the flatbreads on top. It's genius. The bottom comes out shockingly crispy. And this is America's #1 meal kit for a reason. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code AdamRagusia50 at checkout for 50% off, plus free shipping. 50% off with my link and code in the description. AdamRagusia50. Thank you, HelloFresh. Back to dessert.
Please put that on the internet.
Yeah. Sugar and shortening are creamed. Time to beat in the egg yolk. If you were making snickerdoodles normally, you would just beat in a whole egg until fluffy now. Vanilla. You don't need a splash, but life is about more than satisfying needs. I like about half a teaspoon of my normal kosher salt, but that might be too salty for you. You might just want a little pinch. I like salty cookies. And hey, it's the cream of tartar again. This is why traditional snickerdoodles taste a little tangy. It's not sour cream or anything. It's a full teaspoon of this tangy powder that lots of people have in their spice drawer, and they really don't understand what it's for. It's for beating egg whites, and it's for snickerdoodles. And it will react with baking soda to leaven the cookies a bit, but I'm only using a quarter teaspoon of soda. I don't want to neutralize all of the tartaric acid. I want a little tang. We can dump in all the meringue. This is going to make the cookies fluffy inside, but also give them like a candy crisp outer crust, like on a macaron. And then I'll start with a cup of all-purpose flour. We're going to want about 1.33 cups of flour total in the end, like 160 grams. But there are so many variables with flour that I usually like to add it at the end based on feel. I'll mix in enough flour until this dough feels just solid enough to roll into balls. I like really big cookies, so I'm going even bigger than a golf ball this time. This dough feels weird in your hands. You can feel that it's full of bubbles. It weighs a little less than you're expecting it to. Snickerdoodles are probably descended from coffee cakes or tea cakes, hence the cinnamon coating. I like 1 part cinnamon to 2 parts granulated sugar for the coating, though that is with American pre-ground store-bought cinnamon, which is famously weak. If you're using something stronger, be careful and go by taste. Just roll those balls around in there and get them very well coated. If you wanted a stronger, spicier cinnamon flavor, I would not recommend using more cinnamon. I would recommend buying real cinnamon and grinding it yourself. If proportionally too much of the coating is cinnamon powder, then the outside doesn't have the right texture, and they might even get kind of a burn taste in the oven. You can bake these just like that. I get slightly prettier results if I flatten them into pucks, but tall pucks. Don't flatten them much shorter unless you want thin, crispy cookies. Convection oven, if you've got it. I'm actually stealing an idea from Stella Parks and Serious Eats. She starts them at 400 Fahrenheit, 200 C for like 3 or 4 minutes. Then she backs the oven down to 350, 180 C. That gets you slightly more contrast between the crispy outside and the soft inside. Speaking of which, snickerdoodles are notorious for drying out hard. Lean on the side of under-baking them. I like to wait until they spread and crack. The dough in the cracks will look wet at first. When I just see that new dough starting to dry and cook, that's my signal that I'm done. These took about 12 minutes, and you will see them deflate a little as they cool and steam subsides, but they should remain reasonably tall. Nice brown bottom there. You split these open, and yeah, I think that I have successfully reverse-engineered that bakery's trick. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Hey, why hasn't he explained the etymology of snickerdoodle yet? Well, because no one really knows where that name came from. It's a silly name. Just ignore it. Just eat them.